Welcome back to another Blender session. And this week we are going to follow this amazing tutorial by Max Hay, which helped me create something like this. So let's get into it, shall we? First, let's find ourselves a model of a pillar from Quixel Bridge. We are going to download and export it into Blender. This pillar is going to play quite an important role in our environment. Now we can start working on the base. In the edit mode, we'll give it some loop cuts at the edges by using Ctrl R. And now we can select these four faces and W, extrude faces along normals. This way we can extrude it inwards or outwards. And now we'll give it some vertical loop cuts at the top and the bottom. Alt, Shift and select the face. That will make this circular selection of these faces. And then we can extrude it along the normals. Now we can change the scale and the position of this base structure so that it fits well into the ratio, and then we can start placing our pillar in between these spaces. We can of course keep playing with the extrusion till it looks right. To make this a little more interesting, we can also select these individual layers and extrude them outwards. To give it a little depth, we can use this wireframe view to place the pillar at one of the edges. Let's open a split view so that we can see what's happening in render. To add more pillars to the scene, we can select the pillar and add array modifier to it. The count here would be the number of pillars, and we can change the factor x values to change the distance between each pillar. Now we can apply the array modifier and then create copies of these pillars to arrange them in all the four directions. We can change the render engine to cycles. We can click Ctrl B to access the bevel menu, and we can set up some custom bevels to the edges of these walls. The more elements you start adding, it becomes important that you start organizing the assets into their separate collections so that it's easy to identify and pick. We are also going to delete the other elements. I don't think we need them. And now we are going to carefully select all of the elements. We can duplicate by clicking Shift D. We can move it in the Z axis. We can scale it down and make it sit on the base architecture. For now, we'll use the same texture of the pillar and assign it to the ground plane and the walls. What you see right now here is the texture tiling issue. I don't have a perfect solution for this right now, but we can try a couple things. Select the object, U, unwrap. Doing this made texture look a little better. You can download these free temple assets from the same artist, Max Hay. We can use an asset from this library and maybe place it on the top. We can adjust the size and the position of this top structure. I like the texture of this top structure. We can assign the same texture to the base. There is this scaling issue. To address that, we can change the mapping values here. This is the node which helps you control the scale, rotation and location of the texture. We can follow the same process and assign the same material to all of the pillars we've got. I think this should be enough as far as the temple goes. Select all the elements of the temple and move them into a separate collection. Hide the collection, right click, instance to scene. This is going to create a copy of the temple structure we created, which is easy to work on when it comes to transforming it. Now we can create multiple copies of this temple structure and arrange them as you like. I think it looks vertically stunted. The advantage of using the instance approach is we can edit the actual class being instanced here, and that should automatically reflect into the instances we have created. Shift A It's time to add our primary spotlight. Change the world color to black. We can change the position, the intensity and the color of the spotlight. To add the volumetric fog, add a cube and scale it to fill the entire scene. Create a new material for this cube. Delete its default principled BSDF. Assign a node principled volume to this cube. We can change its density value. We can tweak the position, the radius and the color of the spotlight we've got. Add a water body to serve as the base. We'll add a cube and transform it. The simplest way we can achieve water texture is by bringing down roughness to 0 and increasing the transmission to 1. We can keep tweaking the position, the intensity of the light, the density of the fog, till it all comes together just the way we want. We can add a noise texture, plug it into a bump node, and the bump node can be plugged in to the principled BSDF. That will give us these ripples in the water. We can customize these node values to make water look the way you want it to be. For now, we'll just go with standstill water. Let's add a new plane and transform it to make it sit behind our subject. We are going to give it an image texture. I went ahead and downloaded a picture from Unsplash. Simply drag the picture into the node editor space and then plug in its color into the emission of the principal BSDF and the alpha. You can tweak the emission strength as needed. Now we can create multiple instances, that is copies of our base architecture, and place it all around the scene as we like. So once you have your camera angle in place, you can place the assets, because the more assets you add, it's going to get more intensive for the GPU. So you might face some issues. So it's better to keep it minimum so that we can fill the areas of the scene only where the assets are needed and visible. I also went ahead and added some tree assets to make the renders look a little more interesting. That's it for this episode of BlenderSession. These are the renders I was able to get from this scene. I think it looks good. I hope you like them. Till I see you again in the next one. Cheers.